Welcome to ON1, the podcast for tips, tricks, and techniques for the ON1 software community. And here's your host, Scott Kelby.
Hey everybody, welcome to ON1. We're going to be looking at some really cool stuff for users of ON1 plugins and software like you guys are. A little bit later, Dylan Kotecki is going to be joining us as our guest again. He always has such cool stuff to show, and every time he's on, I learn new stuff, so that's cool. But let's dive right in. Before we do dive in, of course, this is live. So if you're watching us live and you're out there, hey, give me a shout out, say hi. Or if you have any questions during the show, give them. And I don't have any intention of answering them, but just give them anyway. Just it'll be fun just to see what you're struggling with. No, I'm kidding. I'll try to answer. But it's, it's a 50-50 guess. All right, take a look at the image I have on screen here. So we'll start with this. So I think it's kind of a cool image. It was not easy to get. I had to drive to New Jersey. I had to not only drive to New Jersey, but I had to use a 600 millimeter lens, right, to get this shot. And so I'm shooting from over in New Jersey, which, that's already, it's sketchy enough. No, I'm kidding. It's a joke. Anyway, so I'm over there, and it didn't look as good as what you're seeing here. This looks better than it looked. So I changed the color tone a little bit and stuff, but it's more than that. I'm going to show you what it really looked like. It looked like this. What? That's right. Here's the epic version, and this is okay. Look at what a difference that makes. Now you're like, well, yeah, it's like night and day, because I'm not sure I would be sharing this image. I mean, it's okay. I like the way the light's hitting the Statue of Liberty. But other than that, unfortunately, there were no clouds in the sky that day. But this changes everything. And you'd say, well, yeah, so you did a sky replacement. Yes, I did. But that's what I want to talk to you about today, because you probably already know if you have Photoshop. Now, I know that a lot of people don't use Photoshop, that they use Lightroom, and that's maybe their thing, and then they jump over to ON1 and you do stuff there, but you don't have Photoshop. Well, I can tell you Photoshop has sky replacement, and it's not that great. It's okay. It does a decent mask, but it has limited features. But ON1 Sky Replace AI is fantastic. It has all the things that are missing that you wish the other one had. But I want to kind of show it to you, and I want to show you how I use it, because when you see it, you're going to go, I'm not going to use Photoshops anymore. Now, if you have ON1's Photo Raw, it's built right in. It's part of the program. That's the great thing. If you have Photo Raw, it's built in there. Or you can just go and get the plugin for yourself. You can also just go download and get a free demo version and just try it. It's fully functioning. You can try it out and then decide if you want to get it. But if you're going to do sky replacements, and I never used to do sky replacements until I finally realized that I was the last guy on earth not doing sky replacements. Everybody was doing sky replacements, but me. So I was kind of the last one, which is, it's not awesome. But when I found out some of the people that I looked up to most in the industry were already all using them, it kind of changed my mind. And now, if I need to replace this guy, I will. And you can see what a difference it makes. Now, let's go ahead. Let me jump out here. So I was in Lightroom. And so I'm starting in Lightroom and doing like some basic edits here. But when I want to replace the sky, all right, then we're going to go up here under the photo menu to edit in, and we're going to choose Sky Swap. That's actually the official name, Sky Swap. I said Sky Replacement, but it's called Sky Swap AI 2025. That's the real name. All right, we're going to click on it. It's going to take a copy of that image over, and it's going to open it there. Well, that wasn't it, but that's fine. So here we are. I'm back. Okay. All right. Now, so a couple of things I want to show you that are tremendous. All right, the first one is this. There are all these different categories. Now, Photoshop comes with some sample skies. And I always tell people, don't use them. Because since they only give you a handful of them, they're very recognizable. And so if you use one of Photoshop's sample skies that it comes with, they were just designed to show you here's how it works. They weren't really designed for you to use them, because if you use them and you put it on Instagram, you can count the seconds till somebody comes and goes, hey, isn't that sky from Photoshop? And you're like, you know. So don't do it. Don't use their skies. However, there are so many skies here, and they're not just great skies that are built in here. These are skies from a company called Occudrone. And Occudrone is kind of accepted in the industry as these are the people that are making the really, really great, awesome skies. They are fantastic. They are phenomenal. So those are the ones that you want. Theirs are in here. Now, they make more. You can buy more if you want, but they've got a great collection of skies. So here's what you do. Go in here to categories. Start there. And there's all of these categories, and you'll know the ones that are Occudrone because it says right on it, Occudrone Cotton Candy, Occudrone Magnetic Blue. But these are just categories. So choose a category. I love this one here, this Occudrone Blustery Blue. You choose it, it throws the sky in there for you. And then you can go here to sky and then just hover over any one of these and it'll pop it in there. You got to give it 1 second to load, right? And just find the ones that you want. Now, my shot, the shot that you see here, which is not like the greatest shot or anything, I don't have to tell you that, was taken at dawn. So I'm not going to use a bright blue sunny sky day when you can see the buildings don't have a bright sunny sky kind of thing. So let's go find a different category that's more like it. So they've got, if you look over here, I'm going to zoom in here. They've got like sunset and then the Occudrone extra ones, and there's more to choose from. Let me just back off, kind of got carried away there. But let's go to, well, dramatic might be all right, or you could use sunset because who's going to know? Whoa, look at that. There's a nice. But what a change it makes. Like all of a sudden, people would look at this photo immediately and just go, wow. Like it takes the photo from a, yeah, that's okay, to, whoa. So I'm not sure that this is the exact sky that I would choose, but it ain't bad. But here's one of the things that it does that I don't know if Photoshop doesn't do it. I don't know if they'll ever do it, but watch this. I can go down here, and there's a little button called reflection. And people always ask, how do I get it? And they'll complain about this with Photoshops. It doesn't reflect the sky in the water. You know it's a fake sky. You're one click away from having it automatically do the reflection. Check it out. So just go here, hit reflection, and boom, look at the difference. This photo is completely transformed. I'm not even sure that this is the sky that I would choose. It was the first one that came up. But if you chose this sky, I mean, what would people's reaction be to this photo, right? If they saw this immediately, what would their reaction be, right? Versus this. It's kind of meh, and this is kind of good. And you'll notice, look at the color of this building. So when I have it before, look at the color. You can see that it's kind of bluish, right? But it also it adds the colorization in on the foreground as well. So you have this foreground lighting panel here that lets you choose the foreground. If you're getting some like a little ghosting here, you can work with the edges to see if you can, mitigate some of that. And you also have this, I don't know if this distance thing's going to do. Oh, it's only working on the reflection to make any difference there. But you can shift the edge, you can fade the edge. There's so much you can change the scale. There's just so much that you can do. But I think what really is the star of this show is the fact that you have so many great clouds that are usable that everybody doesn't recognize. Like everybody doesn't look at them and go, oh, that's the one from Photoshop. So I think that's one of the reasons why This is so great. Now, I'm not done yet, but I see you guys in the comments, so I just want to give a shout out. Barbara's saying hi. Jay's here from Minnesota. Hey, Jay, I know Jay. Hey, how you doing, Jay? Lawrence is here. Greetings from Boston. Siciliano says hi. Alex here from a sunny Aberdeen. RO is watching from PCB, Florida. I live in Florida. I have no idea where PCB is. What is it? It's got to be something. What is it? What do you think it is? Oh, Panama City Beach. There we go. Of course, Panama City Beach. I have actually been there. All right. Bill saying hi from Michigan. Lewis is here, says hi. Robin's here from lovely East Central Florida. Benjamin's here from Valencia, Spain. Oh, Benjamin, I love Valencia. My brother and I visited it just to take pictures. I rarely get to do that, but we went there just to see it. And what a great, great city. And just loved it. Great food. Great people. It's my homeland. My mother was born in Spain. So yeah, and John's saying hi from Canada. Hey, while I got your attention real quick here, I'm going to get back to this in 1 second. I don't know if you know this, but we've got an ON1 travel photography conference coming up. So we're doing a travel photography conference, and it's going to have a lot of ON1 software obviously in it, right? But also it's just photography and teaching you travel, because we're hitting the travel season right now. Like, this is the perfect time for a travel photography conference. And you guys have been to our conferences before. There are 2 tracks. You get the whole thing archived for an entire year. So if you miss any classes or you want to rewatch anyone, you're going to learn about photography. You're going to learn about travel. You're going to learn about all these great things. And this is coming up here in July. We're just a few weeks. I think we're like 2.5 weeks away. Isn't it like July 14th? Oh, 15th and 16th. Sorry, there we go. Anyway, we also have some bonus sessions on the 14th, some pre-conference sessions. We've got all these tracks. We've got so much for you to do, so much to learn. If you're interested in travel photography, this conference is for you. So I hope you'll come. If you go now, you can save a lot of money. You can save a ton. Sign up now. Sign up while we're watching. Just open another browser window. All right. Anyway, I'd love to see you there. I'm going to be teaching there as well. I've got some great classes planned for you. And so very excited to see you at the Travel Photography Conference again, July 15th and 16th. Okay, back to our story. Let's take a look at another image. So we have this image which looks epic. Hey, let me just change it. I mean, we just picked the very first one that came up, right? But let's just see, right? Because I want you to see the quality of the things that are here, right? I'm not sure I would choose that one. That's really not bad. But you know what it is? It's amazing when you see how a great sky, right, just makes all the difference in the world. And it's just, I want to think of the guy's name, Leonard. Oh, he's a French photographer. He has a great quote. His name is just escaping me. His first name is Leonard, which does not sound like a very French name. Oh, Leonard Masson. And his quote was, the sky is the secret to the landscape. Like, without the sky, right? I mean, you're seeing on screen what a difference this is. Now, if I chose this one, which is a pretty epic one, by the way, I would go and turn on the reflection. Right? I guess just saying it doesn't work as well as clicking on it. There we go. Look at that difference. And you can control the amount, like how much of reflection. Do you want it to be like really, really prominent, or do you want it to be just a little off? But, if you compare that to the original, there's just no comparison. If you put pictures like this up, you're going to get millions of likes. Especially when people love the sky. They love these colorful skies. So anyway, there's so many here, but let me grab another image. Let me click out of this one, and let's jump over to Lightroom real quick, and let me choose another one. All right, let me grab this image here. This is not a good image. I don't know why I chose such poor images, but I did. Let's go choose Sky Swap AI 2025, and there we go. It keeps briefly showing my music studio. I don't know why. It must be in some other program behind here. But anyway, this sky, well, there's no sky. This is Beijing. It's a, what do you call it? It's a kind of a hazy day. We'll just say that. It's a hazy hazy day. All right. So let's go choose our category. How about these Occudrone cotton candy? That's probably too over the top. How about, gosh, there's so many. Hey, look, you can see my New York. Look at that. There's my New York sky. Let's not put that there. That looks pretty good. Well, let's just put that there. All right, and then let's drop in the reflection. And then let's increase the amount of the reflection. And I think you'd probably have to go over to like effects or develop and add a little more color, because you can see it did, the foreground amount did, you might have to pull that foreground, like, I don't really want the brightness. You might have to just pull some more of the color up, but this is going to affect the sky and stuff. So the foreground lighting, I think you probably need a little bit more, but okay, that's not the sky I would choose, but you get what I'm saying. What a difference these skies make. All right, let's go choose a more appropriate sky. I don't want to keep you guys too long, so let me go choose an appropriate sky. This is an inappropriate sky. Let's just go to clouds. Boo. And let's just choose a different set of clouds. Let's go, that looks more like it. Let's go to this one. That's the set, and then we'll look in here and see under the actual skies which one we want. Remember, you choose the category first, like I want this style of cloud, and then you go find out in there. Well, that looks more like what was probably going to be there that day. But let's just say that you went with that. It's already more interesting. If you like dramatic scenes, that's probably more interesting, and then you would drop down to reflection. All right, and I think you need to bring that up a little bit to give it that, okay, you got the sky. But I want to teach you about something else that, oh, look at this. So Amy says, I don't want exotic skies, but believable ones. So Amy, those are real skies. Those skies really happen out in nature. Now, depending on where you are, right, depending on where you live, you may not get spectacular skies. We live here in the Tampa Bay area of Florida, and literally, if we drive out to the beach any day where it's clouded, you see skies that are unreal. So it's cheating for us because we can literally drive 20 minutes, half hour from here, probably a half hour, from here and just have an unobstructed, beautiful view of great skies. So those skies are exotic. But here's the thing. Amy, I want you to consider some of these exotic skies because of the impact that they'll have on other people. You can have a believable sky that makes people shrug their shoulders, or you can put in an exotic sky that blows people away. So I know what you're saying. So Amy says, I sometimes take my own photos, and you can, by the way, you can import your own here as well, but I sometimes take my own, but I'm often too much in the city, right? And that makes it tough because when you want to shoot these skies, you kind of need that unobstructed view. That's why the beach is such a great place to get those skies, right? Because there's just a flat horizon and you can just literally get the sky. It's the perfect place. If you go on a beach vacation, that's when you want to get your skies, right? Or if you're on the top of a building. But it's hard. I totally get it. And LSP is asking, can you add your own sky photos? Absolutely. You can add a folder of your own sky images and use those. It's just, I'm having a hard time getting over the Occudrone ones because they're so good. They're better than, the ones that I normally have. I have a few epic skies that I got, like I said, at the beach, but I need a couple more trips to the beach to really, really get those. Okay. I want to turn you on to one more thing, and then I want to bring Dylan, who's sitting on the sidelines. Right? I don't want him to wait too much longer, but I want to show you one more. It's just a feature, but it's an important one. So let's go to this image right here. All right, so here's another. I'm showing, this is bland image day. So here's a bland image. Let's go and take this over. So let's go Photos, Edit in SkySwap 2025. And let's jump it in. Okay. Keep showing my studio for a second. I don't know why. Okay. So let's go ahead and swap in a sky. Let's grab a nice, decent clouds. That's really not too decent. It doesn't look right. Part of the art of this is choosing a sky that looks legit. And I do like, I'm telling you what, this particular collection right here, this one, I love this one. These skies look legit. And let's just say that we went with that sky right there. That looks like it's really happening there. I think you would want to do the reflection as well, right? A little bit, maybe that's a bit much. You might drop the amount of that one so it's not so obvious. There you go. But there's a problem here. The problem is right here. I can see it. The sky went over the building. It kind of bleeds over it. And I think the reason why is the colors of the sky were kind of bland and they kind of hit those pillars there, and the sky went kind of right over this building. If this happens to you, you don't have to be an expert at masking. It can fix this for you. What you're going to do is go up here, and you notice it's got this method. You have Model A, which is basically the one that you're going to use most of the time. It works pretty good. It does like not a problem. But if you have a problem, then you're going to switch to Model B. Now it's going to redo it, but watch the tower as I hit to redo. Let's wait for, look, it pulled the sky out of it. It fixed it, right? It went, I'll show you it again. Here's back to A, where you can see the sky going over all these white areas. The sky's going right over it, but watch B. And look, it pulled it right out. So that is great. You don't have to become an expert, but you're only going to use this. You're only going to use this if you run into that problem. Like you see it, the sky for whatever reason didn't mask. And this will happen from time to time because we're usually doing sky replacement when it's a bad sky. If it's a blue day, you're probably not going to have that happen because you're not going to have blue buildings. But if it is a gray day and you've got gray buildings or things like we have here, it's very possible. But now you know what the fix is. Guys, I've gone I've gone too far. Hold on. Somebody asked a really good kind of ethical question here, and we got to go. Tom's asking, so how far do you think you should go with inserting a different sky before your photo is not your photo? Tom, if you worry about that, here's what you do. Use your skies. Just use your skies. Now, Tom, I've been pulling backgrounds from stock photos, right, to shoot for portrait shoots. You know, I'll bring in a background and I'll do a composite. I've been doing that for many, many years, and I don't have any issue with that because I'm usually shooting somebody on a gray background and I want to put them on another background. I'm pulling down textures. I go to Adobe Stock and I'll buy a paper texture and I'll put it over a photo to give it an aged look at all. So, and actually you can do that right here in Photo Raw. You can add effects and textures right in here. You don't have to go even buy them. But that stuff I've been doing for years. I never had any problem with it. I don't have any problem with using these Oculodrone skies, but as long as the subject isn't the sky, right? So the subject was the Grand Canal in Venice, and I put a better sky in. But if that concerns you, Tom, just go shoot your own skies. Literally, bring in your own skies, use them, go there, and you're good to go. All right, I've gone way too long. I've got Dylan standing by. Dylan Kotecki. Hey, Dylan, how you doing, man?
Hey, what's up, man? I'm great. How are you?
Dylan always has the best sounding voice. So what I want to do is I want to get AI of Dylan's voice. I just want to use it from now on because you should be on radio, but luckily today you're on video. All right, welcome, and what do you got for us today?
Yeah, so just wanted to sort of showcase some little tips and tricks for using AI tools instead of Photo Raw. We're going to talk about Brilliance AI, we're going to talk about Super Select AI, and then also wanted to touch on using Snapshots to save your edits so that you can just quickly navigate between different unique looks that you've created on a single photograph. You can also use Snapshots to create versions in case you want to maybe batch process a group of different looks for one photograph. So let me dive into Photo Raw here. And so the first thing I wanted to talk about is just Brilliance AI real quick. And we're not going to dive too deep into too many of the things, but real quick, with your images, especially when they're a little bit overexposed or a little bit underexposed, and you're thinking, well, I don't want to just dive in and start modifying all of these different sliders here. I just want to quickly get the image to a base look, and then I can start using local adjustments, or I can start styling with effects. Brilliance AI is an awesome tool for that. So essentially what you do is you just click on it to enable it, and then it just goes in and it develops these settings for you. So you can see here it's modified these different sliders to create this particular look. Now, it's subtle, but that's really all you need when you're inside of Develop using the basic tone and color sliders. Now, one thing I will mention is that sometimes it drags the highlights back just a little bit, and so I typically just go on there and just leave those as they are. Now, keep in mind, if you do have a really overexposed image, you may want to leave those highlights as they are, the way Brilliance AI modified them, but keep in mind, you can always readjust how Brilliance AI modifies these sliders. So if you're thinking, well, I want maybe a little more contrast, you can always pull up on that contrast to fit that look that you're going for. You're not set to the look that Brilliance AI creates for you. Now, another feature that's really awesome inside of Brilliance AI is this local adjustment section. So like you were talking about when it comes to masking, more often than not, we're not trying to do complicated masks on our edits. We just want to jump in, get that area masked, and then we can start styling it. So with this local adjustment section, it automatically identifies important regions within your image for you. So for example, we have flora, sky, and water, and it's created those masks. That way we can just simply pull up on these sliders to modify those individual areas. So for example, with flora, if we want it a little bit brighter and a little bit more colorful, we can just pull up on that slider there. You can see it's giving it a little bit more color and just brightening it a little bit. Same thing with sky. Now, dependent on the region, it's going to do different things. For example, with the sky slider, this is going to darken the sky and bring in a little bit of contrast so that we can see those darker blues, more of that detail within those clouds, especially if you have, a bright background within your scene. This is really great for just bringing in a little bit more life into that area and making it a little bit more evenly exposed. I'm going to pull up on this quite a bit just so it darkens it, because I do want to show a really awesome filter that you can apply to skies like this to really just bring out a little bit more interest in them. And then same thing with water. Water, it's going to give it a little bit of a cool temperature, and it's also going to add in a little bit of contrast as well. But you can see how easy it is to just fine tune those individual areas without having to go in and create complicated masks already. And so just immediately, we have a much more evenly exposed photograph. Now we can jump into using effects. We can create our own local adjustments, but we've already set that base foundational look for our scene. So now that we've done that, my next step is to use effects, start styling the image a bit. And so to do that, I'm going to use Super Select AI. So if you are familiar with Super Select AI, you know how great of a tool it is for just hovering over a region. You can click on it, and then you can start styling with either a filter, or you can adjust with a local adjustment. So I'm a big keyboard shortcut guy. You can always just grab Super Select AI by hitting K on your keyboard, or it lives over here in this left-hand tool well. And so once it's selected, it's going to analyze the image real quick, and then all you have to do is, again, just hover over the regions that you want to modify. So for example, if we want to adjust the sky, just hover over the sky there. You can see in blue that it's identified that specific region. Now all I have to do is just right-click, and it will pull up this, or secondary click, whichever you prefer, and it will pull up this menu of different filters and adjustments that you can apply to that region. Now, pro tip here, if this Show Styles Flyout menu option is disabled, you're not going to see those little arrows right next to the filter that's going to show those preset styles for each filter and adjustment. So if this is disabled, I would highly recommend enabling this. That way, when you do secondary click or right click and you pull up this menu, you have these little arrows to where if you hover over it, it will give you all of those preset styles for that particular filter that you're hovering over.
What?
So
I did not know that.
Yeah. So if that's disabled, I would definitely recommend enabling that.
I'm turning that on.
Yeah, it's so much more helpful.
What did I tell you, Dylan? Every time you're on, I learn new stuff. All right, go back. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, you're good, man. You're so good. I'm so glad. And then, one great thing about that is if you hover over these different areas, it's going to give you a preview of that particular preset style. So as I hover down here, you can see here, you can see which one you want to add by just hovering over it and getting a little preview. So for example, with this image, I'm going to use Charge More Strong. This gives it a little bit of a dreamy look, if you will, to the background. So if I turn this up and on, already it's a lot more interesting. It's really making those whites and the clouds pop with a really nice deep blue in the background, and it just looks way more interesting than it did before. And so you can see why I pulled pretty high up on that sky slider there, so that I could bring in this glow filter and just bring in a little bit of a dreamy vibe into the background there. Another pro tip when it comes to using Super Select AI, once you've selected a region, so for example, let's say I've selected the sky again, you can head up here and you can choose Erase. And what Erase is going to do is that's going to protect the region that you have selected from the filter or adjustment that you apply next. So for example, I want this next filter or adjustment to be applied to everywhere but the sky. So I can just right click and let's just bring in some contrast into the foreground. Let's go to curves and I'll choose contrast boost. You can see now that contrast boost is only being applied into this foreground section. That's because I use that erase option rather than using paint. So with paint, it's going to paint it into that region that you have selected. With erase, it's going to protect that region that you have selected. So now with our curves here, we're matching up with that nice contrast boost that was applied when we added that glow filter into the sky. And so already with just these two filters, it's really doing a whole lot to just breathe a little bit of a life into the region and make it a lot more interesting. Now, another awesome tool or awesome feature with Super Select AI is that you can select multiple individual regions. So for example, if we want to select all these little islands here, we can just hover over them and just click on them. You can see it will overlay that blue overlay indicating to me that they're selected. Now, with this little region down here, you can see it's broken up with all these little areas of trees and plants and whatnot. So it's having a tough time identifying this entire area within that bottom section of my photo. So what you can do is you can click and drag to create a little rectangle over whatever region you want to select. So for example, I wanted to select that foreground area with all the flora, and I can just hover over that. And you can see with that rectangle that I created, it's identified that region, and then it's selected the entirety of it. Now, let's miss this little area here, but we can always just click on that to add it in. But it's a really easy way, especially if you're dealing with really complex regions that have multiple small subjects within them. You could say clicking and dragging a little rectangle around them will enable you to identify that area. That way you can just quickly select it and then start styling. So from there, let's just add in dynamic contrast, which is a really great filter for bringing in texture and detail. And I'll just use natural here because it can get quite intense, but just a really great way to bring in a little bit more pop into those areas that we need to have styled a bit more. Now from there, let's just add on one last filter to the image, and I'm going to use just add filter, and I'll use vignette. And Big Softy is one of my favorites, and we'll just pull back on the opacity there. And that's just going to focus the viewer's attention into this middle region there. And then, so in no time at all, we started out with this. Use Brilliance AI, pulled up on a couple sliders within local adjustments, and then we added in some filters, but just a really easy way to create stunning edits without having to go in and mask anything. And we've modified, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, let's say 6, 7 individual regions within our photograph really quickly and really easily. Next thing I wanted to showcase, or just the last thing I wanted to showcase, is Snapshots. So I recently started using Snapshots a lot more in the last year. They're a really awesome feature for, let's say you want to try out looks on a photograph. You want to maybe try a black and white. You want to try more of a cinematic look. You want to try maybe a high detail, high contrast look. So what you can do is you can just add on whatever particular filters you want to create that look. So for example, let's just add on maybe a black and white for this. We'll grab one of these. Maybe we'll use that one. So we'll create a new snapshot with our black and white look. And then let's say, well, I want to try out maybe more of a antique look, we'll say. We'll use antique, maybe use cool. Let's bring in some film grain maybe, and then maybe a light leak with a texture. So this nice airy sort of, vintage look on our photograph. So we'll create that snapshot there. We'll use the antique. And then maybe we'll create one more we'll just go in and use the LUTs filter. And we'll just navigate through here to maybe that one. Let's say we like that look. We'll just name this LUTs. So now we have these 3 different snapshots. And so let's say we're moving on in our editing and, we're trying to think, well, I want to see what those looks look like within that image. You can just click on them and it will take you back immediately to that place in that edit where you've created that look. You can quickly just sort of compare which one works best for that particular image. Now, another reason that I like snapshots, not only for just sort of comparing those different unique looks within your scene, but you can click on this, right click it, or secondary click, and you can choose create version from snapshot. So you can create, 3, 4, 5 different versions of an image, all with different unique styles. That way, if you want to export all of those different looks, you can do that really easily by just creating versions of each one of those particular snapshots. And so it's really helpful, if you're sending images to a client, or you're just wanting to, experiment with different styles and maybe send it off to a colleague or a friend to get, feedback. It's a really easy way to do that by just creating snapshots, and then you can create versions with them as well.
Hey, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Very nice. Well, Dylan, as expected, I learned more stuff. I went, and while you were talking, I went and turned that feature on. So I have the presets flyout menu that I didn't even know existed. So
yeah, it's a good one to have on for sure.
Yes, it is. Yes, it's delightful. Well, thank you very much, Dylan. If you guys want to see Dylan again live, he's one of the instructors at the upcoming travel photography conference, and so you can catch Dylan there. Also, I didn't mention where to go to get your ticket. Go to kelby1live.com. That's where you go to get your ticket. That's Kelby One Live right there. Go to kelby1live.com and register now, and you'll get more of Dylan. And so that's a good thing. So Dylan, thank you so much. Thank you for being on the podcast again. Always learn new stuff. I've already changed my settings. All right, I got one last thing for you before we go. I know we're over time. Oh, we're way over time. However, just want to mention, we like to feature a photographer at the end of each show just for you to go and enjoy their work. And we were very fortunate for the last couple of days to have Vanessa Joy here with us in the studio. She is an unbelievable wedding photographer, a corporate portrait photographer. She does commercial work, and she's an educator. And we just had her do two classes or courses with us, online courses that we'll be releasing very shortly. But she is, number one, a delightful person. She's really just fantastic, just as a person. But as a photographer, as you can see, I mean, she's doing these massive weddings, and you see why. Her stuff is just incredible. Let me scroll down so you can just see a couple of other examples of her work. But her stuff is just so over the top. It's just great. I mean, it's just that next level stuff. You can see a little tiny picture of her right there. But look at this shot. I mean, her stuff it's all that next level stuff. I mean, look at it. It's just gorgeous, right? It's just gorgeous, and the pictures just get better and better. You can follow her where she's got 132,000 followers on Instagram. It's simply, her website is vanessajoy.com. Her Instagram is also just vanessajoy.com, and she does a lot of great stuff here. So make sure you go check out her stuff. It's just so good, and she's got lots of teaching and lots of great stuff, and we're looking forward to releasing her courses here at Kelby One. Hey, thank you all for joining me today. I really appreciate it. It's great to see some familiar faces. Thanks to Dylan and the folks at ON1 for hosting this thing, or we wouldn't have it in the first place. And we'll catch you guys next time. Take care, everybody.
Thanks for watching. See you next time.
Are you ready to capture the world and master your photography? ON1's photo editing gurus have joined forces with Kelby One's photography training experts to show you the way. These world-traveling pros and masters teach their secrets at the ON1 Travel Photography Conference. Get their best tips for shooting smarter and editing like a pro using ON1's cutting-edge tools. Why join? It's live, interactive, and packed with actionable advice for all skill levels. No travel needed. You get full access to all sessions for a year. Yes, you heard that right. You can revisit and study every lesson for a year. This will transform your travel photography forever. Sign up now and capture the world